So we are here today with Mr. Larry Wilson of Ultra Elite Group in Indianapolis, and he's actually going to talk to us a little bit about how to rehab a property. He's going to give us a few tips and tricks and talk to us a little bit about his experience. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about your experience with rehabbing, your experience with real estate.
So where would you like me to start?
I want to focus mostly on rehabbing today. So how long have you been fixing up properties, flipping, renting, etc.?
So 2009 we started. I bought my very first property, and we went in. I bought it myself. We tried to do it. I had no experience, but some people, you need people to help you and guide you along the way. I find sometimes I work better if I started and just kind of go and then learn along the way, because I learned the process and it sticks with me. So we just bought it and just started going, and we made a lot of mistakes along the way, but throughout those mistakes we learned a lot too as well. So
okay.
And then so we just got better with time. And so to answer your question, 2009, and from 2009 until 2020, probably rehabbed about 40 houses. Nah, I take that back. I'm sorry, about 30 houses.
Okay, so you have a decent amount of experience.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. What would you say to someone that's kind of like a newer investor that wants to get into real estate? Say they want to get in, and everybody wants to rehab and flip. What kind of advice would you give to someone?
The biggest thing is to find a mentor.
Okay.
Find someone that's already done it. Just because you can cut your learning curve
Right.
a lot, and then also they can kind of help you through the way. I wouldn't do it the way I did it.
You learn by experience.
I definitely wouldn't do it the way I did it. I would do it, like I said, find a mentor, someone who's already doing it, that's willing to help, and then just kind of get the ball started.
Okay, so find a mentor. I also know that you're very big on education. So is there any online course, any books, any real estate expert in particular that you would recommend people to look into?
I just, ever since I was little, I always liked the game of Monopoly. And then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and then I became intrigued, and from that point, I've always wanted to do real estate. And this was at a young age. And I would say if you want to do some education, I would say look at Bigger Pockets. That's definitely a starting point. Some other websites. Nothing's really, because I use Bigger Pockets a lot. And even with the book, even with Robert Kiyosaki's book, if you decide to read it, there's a lot of other books out, and he actually has with the Rich Dad Poor Dad series, he has maybe 7 different books in that series. So all of them are great. So, but personally, me, just Bigger Pockets. I mean, you can find anything you're looking for, from a novice investor to an expert.
It's a huge community of real estate investors
Absolutely.
And resources and everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Robert Kiyosaki and Bigger Pockets.
Also, absolutely, and then also like the RIAs in your city. Find the real estate groups in your city. Go to meetups. Just get out in the community. Start talking to people.
Right.
Build your network, because that's the most important piece in real estate, is building your network.
Right. So basically, like surrounding yourself with people that are doing what you want to do.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect. So, what would you say are the steps to planning out a successful rehab project?
But the biggest piece is finding the property. Definitely do due diligence on finding the property. And don't jump on the first property that you find. Make sure that the property has value in it when you purchase the property, because that's where you find, that's where your profit is. It's locked inside of when you purchase the property, not when you sell it.
Right.
Because if you overpay for a property, then no matter how much money you put into it, I mean, you just kind of minimizing all of your profit margin. So I would say finding a good location, make sure the foundation is straight. Make sure you can pull the permits. If you're doing it yourself, you pull the permits, or if you have a team to pull permits, and make sure you can get all the permits pulled. Because the cities, I know in Indianapolis, they don't really play. Like, they're very forceful on making sure you have all the proper permits. So once you get past the permitting stage, then make sure your crew is capable of starting to finish, because what you find when you first get into this game is a lot of people tell you they can do things and they can't do it, and so your budget goes from $100,000 and it may end up at $150,000, and so all of your profit is gone anyway, and now you become in the red. So
Right.
and then kind of from that part, if you already had your financing in place, and you start the project, you do your demo, go in and make sure you tear everything up. Once you're doing the demo, throughout that process, you want to go ahead and get your blueprints ready. So you want to kind of figure out, bring an architect in, a certified or licensed architect, bring them in, kind of scope out what type of housing you want, like 2 bathrooms, 3 bathrooms, a deck, porch.
And this is if you're building it from the ground up?
This is it, even if you're just rehabbing.
Okay.
So even if you're just rehabbing, bring the architect in, have the architect kind of go through, model out. I normally, when I use my architect, I normally have 3 different models, right? So, and I'll pick the best one, and then I'm always editing. I may change the bathroom. I may, like recently with this property, Larch, we actually changed the bathroom into an office. So it was big enough, and so we put an office due to COVID, because COVID, a lot of people start working from home, so you'll start seeing that a lot. And so if I'm getting the best bang for my buck, I want to add an office. I think it'll be easier to sell.
Right.
So
yeah, that'll be a new, kind of like a new feature
Absolutely.
in houses. Okay.
So you go from the blueprint, the demo, you start framing. So framing is the next piece. With the framing comes the siding, the windows, the roofing, getting everything, the structure of the floors, making sure the foundation is straight. Looking at if you need tuck pointing around the crawl space or the basement, making sure everything is filled in, so when you put drywall in, you don't have any leaks and you don't have to go backwards, and it costs you X amount of dollars, which still hurts your bottom line. Everything that you do, you want to make sure it's done properly, because if you don't, it messes with the bottom line. So
Costs you time, it costs you money.
absolutely. And then so from that portion, we go from the framing, and then we go to going and shopping for fixtures, right? But then throughout that process, also we're putting up insulation in the walls, and then we're also doing drywall. So we're adding the drywall, and then of course from that stage it's the mudding, starting to put the finishes in, the cabinets in, the plumbing. Right after the framing stage, you can start the plumbing, your electrical, start putting that one in. So. And then from that point, you just the finishes are pretty much the end. There'll be a lot of touch-up, so you'll also have a lot of touch-up. Any house I've ever done, there's always been where you have to come back in and the painters missed something, the cabinets are not straight, the flooring, the decking, something wasn't straight. So you want to make sure that, because when you put that project on the market, like that's when a potential customer walks in and they see that property. You know, that's the first thing they may see is an imperfection, right?
Right.
So
they won't necessarily see all the hard work you put into it. They'll see, okay, that's crooked, that's not right. So these are things that you look at with your final walkthrough,
absolutely.
right?
And so I walk through as a customer in every house, and so I may nitpick for about 3 weeks. So even when my guys tell me they're done, I'll go back over and I'll send the team back over, and whatever I didn't catch, they'll catch.
Right.
So that's pretty much it.
Okay.
And then you just stage it. Recently, we've been doing a lot of staging. So we've been staging the properties, because I'm finding that staging properties helps them sell quicker, because people can actually see themselves in the homes.
Right. So at the beginning, you look at it more, you look at the property through the eyes of an investor, and towards the end, you want to look at it more so through,
Absolutely. As if I was buying the property myself. Correct.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Sounds good. What do you find to be the most rewarding? That's the first part of the question. With the process of fixing up a property, and what do you find to be the most annoying or the most tedious?
So let's start with the tedious first. The tedious is the finishing. If I had a magic wand, like I would go in and everything would be perfect, but there will always be something that needs to be corrected at the end of the game, right? And then also making sure your crews, they're timely. Because remember, like when you're doing this process, you have the electrician, you have the plumber, you have the HVAC guy, you have all of these guys working in unison with the drywallers, the finishers, So, and just the whole team of guys, and so you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page, because if they're not, the project may push out. If somebody has too many jobs, just say for example the electrician has 3 jobs and he can't get to your job, well, the drywallers can't get in and finish because the electrician has slowed them down. So it's that process and making sure everybody's on the same page, and throughout the years I've been perfecting that portion of it.
All right, so we talked about the annoying part or the tedious part
Absolutely.
of the process. So tell me, what do you find the most rewarding?
So I think the most rewarding is, to me personally, and everybody's reward may be different, but of course the financial aspect of it, the profit margins. If you find it in a good location, of course you'll make a lot of money if you do it properly. But I think for me it's just being able to take my grandkids past that property that I built with my bare hands, right, from scratch, and you know, that's something that's almost, and I look at it like that's a part of the legacy. Like, you know, when my grandkids or even my children, like when they ride past that, they say, my dad built that property.
Right,
you know?
like a source of pride.
Absolutely. So to me, that's the biggest thing. And it's just taking a lot of times, I challenge myself because I'll buy the worst properties on the block. And you know, because the very first property I bought, it was a lion's den, and I was stuck in it with the lion, and here I am. So of course I survived. I'm not saying I killed the lion, so we just had an understanding.
We made it past him.
We just had an understanding that, you know, we both walking out of here, so let's get used to it. But I think just seeing where they came from, and hearing people tell me that, you know, you shouldn't do that, or, you know, you should walk away from that project, it's too big for you, it's overwhelming, you don't have enough experience, and then coming out and putting something beautiful, and somebody having a beautiful place to live, and that they call their home. So absolutely.
It's a good sense of accomplishment, right?
That's my reward.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, so tell me, what do you do when you're in the middle of a project and some unexpected repair, you know, something that was beyond your budget or something that you didn't expect to happen? What do you do when that comes up?
Well, you know, first I analyze it. I talk to my guys, because my guys will be the first to let me know if something came up. So one instance at a property I'm putting on the market in the near future was we had some issues with the plumbing, and so we had to go back in and tear all of the plumbing out to build the specs, because the inspector came in and he didn't like it. We had enough clearance. I was okay with the blueprints. The city okayed it, but the inspector didn't like it. And in order for me to fight that, it would have probably been a 2-month process. So I just decided to just abide by his rules and change it. It cost me an extra $1,000, but it saved me also another 2 months that it would have been pushed prolonged. So they always come up. There'll always be issues. There'll always be issues. You just got to know to prepare for them and stay steadfast, right? And you know, have a mental fortitude to be able to push through it. That's it, right? Like that's it. But it's like any other thing. It's, you know, all of it's learning in itself. Like, because if I ran into that issue with the next house, it wouldn't be an issue, right? Because I've already figured it out with the first house. So
figured it out. You've got a good team behind you. It's very important.
Absolutely. I won't say that it's welcome. I would say that, like, if it happens, like, I know how to deal with it.
Stay ready.
Absolutely. You don't have to get ready.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Okay. So what do you look for when you are out searching for properties? Like, what's your criteria?
It really depends. Like, I've been looking, because I know downtown Indy is a hot spot right now for flips, right? But I also do rental properties.
Okay.
And my thing is, there's an area here, Martindale, Brightwood. We've been buying a lot of properties in that area. That area is near and dear to my heart. I have a lot of family members that have stayed there and that still are in that area. And, you know, just trying to create pride of rentership and pride of ownership. So what I've been doing is I've been going finding these houses. I mean, I've been buying them for a little bit of nothing. But
it's always good.
Yeah, but, you know, putting, you know, a substantial amount of money into them and beautifying them, because they also beautify the area. Because I noticed every property that I have, when I started a rehab, somebody else started on that block, which in return brings my property value up as well.
Right.
So, but I also look for just for the main part is the areas. If I'm flipping, it's different than if I'm renting. Right? Like if I'm renting, I know what areas I want to stay in because I'm targeting low income,
Right.
but still give them a beautiful home. But if I'm flipping, I want to be close to downtown right now.
Okay.
So those are my areas, or close to a university.
So regardless of whether you're going to flip it or rent it, the first and most important thing is the location, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
And you're working on a project now. Tell me, where are you in the process?
So right now we're in the framing stages. So as you saw when you were at the building, they're putting the decking on before the roof. We may have the roof completed by Friday.
Okay.
So we're in that stage, and then after that, we'll start. We'll call in the inspection after the electrician, HVAC, and the plumbing guys are finished. So maybe in about a week and a half, 2 weeks, we should be calling in for inspection.
Wow.
So that's the next stage, and then from that portion, I would say time frame. Long term, I would say it would take us, even with hiccups, because we have to still build the garage in the back, so we have to pour the slab, but that's not a big issue. I would say mid-September.
Mid-September.
Mid-September, I should be in my finishes. I'm going in and I'm doing the nitpicking again, kind of walking through, seeing if there's any issues, and then putting it on the market, getting it ready to put on the market with the staging.
Okay. And when did you start? Like, what day did you start?
So we started that house. This is July 28th. So we started that project July 2nd, like right before the July.
Right before the
So
4th.
so we're
Okay.
almost a month in.
And then you said complete around middle of September.
September, correct.
So pretty much right around 2 months.
2
is it?
months. 2
Okay.
months. About 2.5 months. But that's also because I told my guys I wanted them to push, and I left an incentive on the table if they get it completed in a certain amount of time, that I would give them. They would all get a bonus.
Yes.
So they all know that, and so they're just trying to push to get it forward, push it forward, so they can get that bonus. For
Money
sure.
will motivate.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, sounds good. So you all are going to get to see a little bit of what's going on at his property in action, and I will set that up for you in the next video. So thank you for all this information. You've given us a lot to think about. Hopefully everyone's learned something today. Before we sign off, is there anything else you want to add? Any words of wisdom? Anything at all?
Well, at the end of the day, I would say, like, whatever you truly desire to do it. Like, don't let anything get in your way.
Absolutely.
Push forward and keep pushing, no matter what. Because what I've learned over my lifetime is that the challenge is the reward.
Absolutely.
Right? So the challenge is always the reward. So that's the trophy. The end game, the money piece of it, none of that really matters. Like, it's the accomplishment that you did, that you can share, and that's part of building a legacy. And so,
The learning experience.
absolutely, at UEG,
Ultra Elite Group.
absolutely, that's what we believe in. So,
Okay.
absolutely. So,
Sounds good. I thank you so much for talking today, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure I will have you back again soon.
absolutely.
This COVID edition.